condemned prisoner, moments away from execution, is secretly rescued from the execution ground, all because his striking resemblance to a mighty warlord of the Sengoku era makes him invaluable. From that moment, his life takes a dramatic turn as he is forced to become the Shadow Warrior, a body double, for this ruthless hegemon of a chaotic era. How will he deceive the craftiest enemies, the closest family members, and even the most loyal warhorse? A breathtaking deception spanning life and death is about to unfold. The story begins in a dimly lit tatami room, where candlelight flickers and the atmosphere is heavy with tension. Seated formally in the center is the formidable daimyo who strikes fear across the land, Shingen Takeda. To his right sits his younger brother, Nobukado Takeda. To Shingen's left kneels a man whose face is virtually identical to his own, head bowed in silence. This man is the thief who was just brought in from the execution ground. Nobukado cannot help but marvel that even he, who has long served as his brother's double, can barely tell them apart. With evident interest, Shingen asks Nobukado where he found someone so remarkably similar. Nobukado explains that he discovered the man at the execution grounds along the Kamanashi River. It turns out that the thief was originally sentenced to a brutal punishment. It was Nobukado who, passing by, noticed that the thief bore a striking resemblance to his own brother and secretly rescued him from execution. When Shingen inquires about the man's crime, Nobukado replies simply, "Thievery." Upon hearing this, Shingen frowns. He questions how a common thief, one who appears to have a history of violence and possibly murder, could possibly serve as his body double. The word villain strikes a nerve with the thief lurking in the corner. He suddenly lifts his head, and long suppressed rage erupts. The man declares that he merely stole small sums of money, while Shingen has killed countless people and plundered cities. Yet now Shingen has the audacity to call him a villain. This shocking accusation leaves everyone in the room stunned. Shingen sternly rebukes him, but the man remains unfazed, wearing an expression of one who has nothing left to lose. Unexpectedly, Shingen does not fly into a rage. Instead, he decides to give this brazen thief a chance to speak. When the thief falls silent, Shingen openly admits that in order to bring an end to this era of endless corpses, he himself has long since become a man burdened with grave sins. Just then, Shingen is suddenly seized by intense pain, an old injury flaring up. He remarks that a man bold enough to speak so frankly may yet prove useful. With that, he departs, leaving behind only the profound silhouette of his retreating figure and a decision that will determine the thief's fate. The year is now 1573, the first year of Tensho. In Japan's Sengoku period, warlords rise in fierce competition to seize control of the realm. Among them, three powers stand supreme: Shingen Takeda, Nobunaga Oda, and Ieyasu Tokugawa. The previous year, Shingen had marched westward, decisively defeating the combined forces of Ieyasu Tokugawa and Nobunaga Oda at the Battle of Mikitagahara and laying siege to Ieyasu's Noda Castle. At this moment, Noda Castle is a trapped prize, ripe for the taking. In the Takeda army's main camp, generals gather around a map to discuss the siege. Engineers have already cut off the castle's water supply, and it seems only a matter of days before it falls. Yet the defender, Suganuma, remains stubbornly resolute. Even after 20 days of encirclement, the castle shows no sign of surrender. Strangely, every night a haunting flute melody drifts from within the walls, captivating even the besieging Takeda soldiers, who listen in rapt silence night after night. Shingen's son Katsuyori suggests that the water cutoff should be reported to his father at once, but a nearby general replies that Lord Shingen is already here. There is no need to report. In truth, the figure commanding the camp to confuse the enemy and maintain troop morale is none other than Shingen's younger brother Nobukado, acting as the Kagemusha. Meanwhile, the real Shingen is in a rear tent, raging over an ally's betrayal. Facing the furious Shingen, his trusted general Masakaja Yamagata shows no fear. Instead, he mocks him, comparing Shingen to a child. He bluntly calls Shingen narrow-minded and says the mountain monkey of Kai should go back to the hills and pick fruit. These words snap Shingen out of his anger. He calms down and turns to ask about the situation at Noda Castle. Masakaja Yamagata believes that whether the flute music continues from the castle will be the key to gauging the enemy's morale. Upon hearing this, Shingen decides to go personally outside the castle to listen to tonight's flute performance. As night falls outside Noda Castle, the haunting flute melody arrives as expected. Shingen becomes entranced by it. Unaware that danger is quietly approaching, a single gunshot shatters the night sky. Shingen collapses at the sound of the gunshot, and chaos erupts throughout the Takeda ranks. News of Shingen's assassination quickly reaches the ears of his two greatest rivals. Ieyasu Tokugawa, the man who suffered a crushing defeat at Shingen's hands at Mikitagahara, hears the report but shows no trace of triumph. Instead, he sighs with regret. In his eyes, Shingen is a hero unmatched in their time, and it would be a profound loss if Jidao he truly perished. Ieyasu knows full well that this intelligence cannot be kept from Nobunaga Oda. Sure enough, far away on another battlefield, Nobunaga Oda receives the secret report almost immediately. Yet Nobunaga is dissatisfied with the contents. He wants definitive proof of whether Shingen lives or dies. To him, the only man standing in the way of his conquest of the realm is Shingen, that mountain monkey of Kai. He issues immediate orders. Spare no effort to uncover the truth about Shingen's fate. Within the Takeda clan, the fall of their supreme commander casts a heavy shadow over the entire family. Retainers gather around the gravely wounded Shingen's bedside, overwhelmed with grief. The great Takeda army begins to withdraw, confusion and unease spreading through the ranks. The soldiers cannot understand why they are pulling back on the eve of victory. Only a handful of senior generals know the truth. Their mountain is about to crumble. In his final moments, Shingen summons his last strength to deliver his most crucial dying wish. He strictly commands that, upon his death, mourning must be kept secret for at least 3 years. During that time, the Takeda house must defend its territory and launch no offensives, or the clan will surely perish. With those words, the great warlord Shingen Takeda breathes his last. Meanwhile, to verify the details of the sniper attack, Ieyasu Tokugawa personally interrogates the soldier who fired the shot. The man carefully recounts the events of that night. He explains how he used a simple shelter made of bamboo and white paper to deduce that an important figure would come to listen to the flute. He demonstrates how he set up the matchlock gun during the day, securing it with weights, ready for nightfall. After the shot rang out, the panic and commotion in the Takeda camp seemed to confirm that Shingen had been hit. Yet one of Ieyasu's subordinates raises a troubling question. If Shingen were truly gravely wounded or dead, why would the Takeda forces seek peace and withdraw instead of slaughtering the castle in revenge? This abnormal behavior clouds what had seemed a clear situation, leaving everything uncertain once more. On the journey home, Shingen's body is secretly transported in a palanquin. In his final hallucination, he sees the towers of Kyoto with Takeda banners flying high. The army returns to Kai, but along the route, warriors witness Shingen, played by Nobukado, seated proudly on horseback, his commanding presence undiminished. That night, the Takeda clan's core generals hold a clandestine meeting that will decide the family's fate. Katsuyori argues that his father's dying wish to keep the death secret for 3 years is impossible. Outsiders have already seen the body in the palanquin. The other generals agree. While Nobukado's impersonation might fool enemies, it cannot deceive those within the clan forever. The truth will inevitably leak. At that moment, Nobukado proposes a daring plan to employ another double. As the curtain is drawn back, the thief who looks identical to Shingen steps into view. The generals stare in stunned silence. The uncanny resemblance makes it seem as though Shingen has returned from the dead. The next day, the victorious column continues its march. Spies from Nobunaga and Ieyasu, hidden on a hillside, watch closely. They see Shingen reading at the head of the army, the troops in full strength and high spirits, and begin to doubt whether the assassination report was false. When spies from the 3 factions encounter each other in the mountains and exchange information, their suspicions deepen further. All these developments push Nobunaga's paranoia to its peak. Meanwhile, after witnessing Shingen's corpse sealed inside a large jar, the thief completely breaks down. That night, he attempts to steal valuables and flee, only to be caught red-handed. Sobbing, he cries out that he has been deceived and can no longer bear pretending to be a dead man from dawn until dusk. Nobukado and the other retainers pleaded desperately, insisting that this was their lord's dying wish, a sacrifice necessary to protect the Takeda clan. But the thief, having witnessed death firsthand, was disheartened. He wanted only to flee this place of turmoil. The generals, seeing his lack of loyalty, grew murderous. He had seen their lord's body. He could not be allowed to leave alive. Just then, a senior retainer intervened, arguing that forcing the man was selfish. He declared that the next day, upon reaching Suwa, the lord's body would be sunk into the lake, and the news of his death would be announced to the army. The released thief hid in a lakeside hut and witnessed a solemn, eerie ceremony. He saw the Takeda generals lower a massive jar into the heart of Lake Suwa. The spies immediately concluded that the jar contained Shingen's body. What they had seen on the mountain had indeed been a decoy. As they prepared to flee and report their findings, the thief suddenly rushed out, blocking their path. He knelt before the Takeda generals, begging for another chance. Shingen's legacy and the loyalty of his retainers had moved the street thief deeply. He vowed to dedicate himself entirely to this hero, though they had met only once. A new deception unfolded. The Takeda clan announced that the jar sunk into the lake contained only an offering of sake to the lake god, leaving the spies confused once more. Soon after, Kagemusha returned, in triumph as Shingen. The clan held a grand welcome ceremony for him. The first to suspect the ruse, however, was Shingen's beloved grandson, Takemaru. With a child's intuition, he sensed something was wrong. Nobukado and the others quickly covered, explaining that the Lord's appearance had changed from the exhaustion of battle. Kagemusha, thinking fast, lifted the boy and played with him using Shingen's helmet. Delighted, the child declared he was no longer afraid of his grandfather, a crisis averted for the moment. Afterward, Nobukado began systematically training Kagemusha. From the layout of the estate to the purpose of each room, even the hidden guards, he had to memorize it all. Nobukado warned him that suppressing his own identity to become another was no easy task. A shadow cannot exist without its master, he mused. Even I, as my brother's shadow, now feel lost. The next challenge was even greater, facing Shingen's concubines. The generals agreed to use the excuse of recovering from grave illness to deter their advances. That night, Kagemusha sat with the concubines. He tried to joke his way through, claiming to be an imposter. The women only laughed, assuming the Lord's personality had changed after his illness, and found it charming. Fortunately, Nobukado intervened, citing doctor's orders to prevent further scrutiny. Meanwhile, Ieyasu Tokugawa could wait no longer. He launched an attack on the Takeda stronghold in Suruga, testing Shingen's response. Within the Takeda clan, the question of the true heir also surfaced. Shingen's son, Katsuyori, resented being merely the guardian of his own son. He harbored bitterness toward his father, the retainers who used his will to control him, and the idea of bowing to a thief's impersonation. One day, Takemaru asked Kagemusha why his grandfather was called Mountain. Nobukado explained the meaning of the Takeda banner: wind, forest, fire, mountain. Shingen himself was the unyielding mountain, a steadfast presence on the battlefield that inspired confidence in his army. The explanation not only educated the child, but also struck Kagemusha deeply. He began to grasp the true weight of the role he was playing. With the military situation growing dire, the generals convened to strategize. Nobukado instructed Kagemusha to simply sit and listen, then nod and say, "You've worked hard," at the end. At the council, Katsuyori, eager for battle, urged an immediate counterattack. The veteran retainers, however, advocated caution, waiting to discern Ieyasu Tokugawa's true intentions. The debate reached an impasse, and all eyes turned to Shingen at the head of the table. Katsuyori pressed him directly, demanding a decision. The air seemed to freeze. Kagemusha, sweating nervously, recalled the lesson of the mountain and Shingen's final words. Under immense pressure, he spoke a few measured words, his voice carrying an unmistakable authority, a perfect echo of Shingen's essence. The generals bowed in submission, but Katsuyori, humiliated in front of everyone, stormed out. Kagemusha's quick wit and decisiveness earned the old retainers' admiration, though they also feared he might forget his true identity. For the thief, every moment as Shingen's shadow felt like crucifixion, his heart torn between struggle and agony. Soon, physicians sent by Nobunaga Oda arrived under the pretense of visiting Shingen's ailing father, Lord Nobutora. Their real mission was to probe for the truth. The Takeda retainers turned the tables, arranging for Kagemusha to receive them and dispel their suspicions. Holding Takemaru in his arms, Kagemusha greeted the envoys with composure. He even allowed one to take his pulse. His calm demeanor and the child's innocence left the spies with no grounds for doubt. Meanwhile, defying the retainers' warnings, Katsuyori launched an assault on Takatenjin Castle, a fortress even Shingen had failed to conquer. The veteran generals resigned, mobilized the main army under the wind, forest, fire, mountain banners, ostensibly to support Katsuyori, but in truth to shield him from Ieyasu's potential ambush. On the battlefield, Kagemusha sat motionless in the command post, embodying the unshakable mountain. He watched Katsuyori fight on the front lines and observed the enemy's movements. When the allied forces of Nobunaga and Ieyasu attempted a flanking maneuver, Shingen's elite units, wind, forest, and fire, intercepted them with precision. The coordinated defense shattered the enemy's advance, their discipline a testament to Shingen's legacy. Kagemusha remained in the camp, forbidden to move as if already executed. He watched as guards fell one by one to protect him. Only then did he understand. The weight of the mountain was forged from the flesh and blood of countless lives. When the enemy saw the wind, forest, fire, mountain banners, they assumed Shingen himself had arrived. Unnerved, they retreated. Though spies reported that Shingen was alive and well, both Nobunaga and Ieyasu's intuition that he was dead only grew stronger. Katsuyori, despite capturing Takatenjin, found no joy in victory. He knew it was not his valor that had driven the enemy away, but the lingering shadow of his father. As time passed, Kagemusha's performance became flawless, nearly indistinguishable from the real Shingen. He won Takemaru's heart, but the knowing retainers felt only unease and sorrow. They knew the 3-year limit was approaching, and when the truth emerged, it would break more than just the child's heart. A question loomed over them all: what becomes of the shadow when the master is gone? The turning point came unexpectedly. One day, at Takemaru's urging, Kagemusha attempted to ride Kurokomoryu, the fierce steed only Shingen could tame. Men could be deceived, but an animal's instinct could not. The horse sensed the impostor instantly and threw Kagemusha violently to the ground. In the chaos, the concubines discovered that the injured lord bore none of the scars from the Battle of Kawanakajima. The deception unraveled. He had fooled enemies, confidants, and nearly himself, only to be undone by a horse. The act is over, Katsuyori declared. His moment finally arrived. He became the rightful. The man who was once the unshakable mountainhead now returned to being nothing more than a nameless thief, vanishing into the rain. In April of the 3rd year of the Tensho era, the Takeda clan held a formal funeral for Shingen. Nobunaga, realizing he had been deceived by a dead man for 3 long years, was filled with a mix of awe and irony. Meanwhile, Katsuyori, newly in power, utterly betrayed his father's final command to stand firm as a mountain. Ignoring the warnings of his retainers, he led 25,000 Tekta troops in a reckless assault on Nagashino Castle. The mountain of the Takeda clan had moved. At Nagashino and Shitaragahara, Nobunaga and Ieyasu Tokugawa's allied forces had already set their trap. 3,000 arquebusiers stood ready behind wooden barricades. The Takeda's elite cavalry, the once invincible Akaboshi, red armor, charged again and again into the deadly barrage. Nobunaga had seen their weakness. He ordered his gunners to shoot the horses first. The gunfire echoed through the valley as the Takeda cavalry, once swift as wind and fierce as fire, fell like targets before the volleys. One by one, the legendary generals who had followed Shingen bled their last on the battlefield. From afar, the exiled Kagemusha watched it all unfold. He saw the banner of windfall, the banner of forest trampled, and the banner of fire consumed. The mightiest army of the Takeda clan was annihilated. Shingen's prophecy had come true. Amid the sea of corpses, Kagemusha picked up a spear. His hands trembled, his eyes shifting from fear to resolve. With a maddened cry, he charged into the enemy ranks. In that moment, he was no longer a thief, no longer a shadow. He was the last warrior of the Takeda clan. The guns roared again, and he fell, his body sinking into the icy river. His corpse drifted away with the remnants of the Takeda banners. A shadow cannot exist without its master. When the mountain crumbled, the fate of the shadow was to fade into nothingness.